Imagine you were traveling through a snowy twilight, lost in a landscape where the landmarks have vanished. You know you are supposed to be meeting a friend, but as you stand on a train platform, a sudden, strange fog settles over your mind. You can't remember her last name. You can't remember her address. You are a stranger in a strange land, wandering through the cold, searching for a destination that no longer exists in your memory. This is how Katherine Adams begins her journey in Hildegard G. Frey's mystery. The Campfire Girls solve a mystery. It's a disorienting, vulnerable start to a story that is much more than a simple detective tale. It's a story about what we hide from ourselves, how we use imagination to survive hardship, and the way a single moment of forgetfulness can set a chain of events in motion that heals decades of old wounds. As Katherine wanders through the snow, she stumbles upon a decaying, seemingly abandoned house sitting lonely on a hill. Inside, the atmosphere is heavy and unsettling. She encounters a pale, mysterious man who seems terrified by her presence, and he flees into the shadows. But then, through the gloom, she hears it, a beautiful, haunting, singing voice. Following the sound, Katherine finds a young girl named Sylvia Deane. Sylvia is a character who stays with you. She lives in a world of elaborate role-playing, pretending to be a princess to shield herself from a reality that is devastatingly bleak. In truth, Sylvia is living in extreme poverty and suffers from physical paralysis that keeps her in a wheelchair. Her aunt, Aggie, the only person looking after her, has been hospitalized after a taxi accident, leaving Sylvia completely alone and destitute in that crumbling house. Moved by the girl's situation, Katherine brings her back to the safety of the Sheridan residence, a place known as the Winter Palace. Once the group is settled at Carver House, the investigation begins. The local Campfire Girls, led by the decisive and steady Neoda Sheridan, notice something strange about the house itself. There is a stained glass window that has been covered by a heavy iron shutter for 25 years. No one wants to talk about it. The elderly servant, Hercules, becomes evasive and visibly fearful whenever the window is mentioned. To understand the window, the girls have to understand the man who lived there before them, Uncle Jasper. Through the discovery of Jasper's childhood diary, the layers of the mystery begin to peel away. The diary reveals a tragic, decades-old betrayal. Jasper had a lifelong deep friendship with a man named Tad Phillips. That friendship was shattered when Tad married Jasper's fiancée, Sylvia Warrington. The heartbreak was so profound that Jasper spent the rest of his life trying to block out the world, eventually shattering that window so he would never have to look at Tad's house again. But the tragedy goes deeper. The diary suggests that Tad Phillips was a man ruined by scandal. He was falsely blamed for a medical tragedy and fled to Cuba, where he and Sylvia died of yellow fever. For years, the shadow of this villain has hung over the history of the house. However, the girls' investigation takes a turn when they find a hidden letter. This document proves that a man named George Ingram, not Tad, was actually responsible for the poisoning. Tad Phillips was innocent all along, a victim of a terrible misunderstanding that destroyed his reputation and his life. As the girls dig into the physical secrets of Carver House, the mystery moves from the past into the present. They discover a secret passage within the house, and they find traces of red paint that explain mysterious footprints appearing on the stairs. The tension spikes when a figure in a bulky monk-like costume infiltrates a masquerade ball at the house. At first, it looks like Hercules, the servant, but the real Hercules is found unconscious. The intruder is actually Tad Phillips. It turns out Tad hadn't died in Cuba. He had survived, living in hiding and in exile, driven by a singular, desperate purpose to watch over his daughter, Sylvia, whom he never knew was still alive. He has been a ghost in the periphery of her life, a man living in the shadows of the very tragedy that defined him. While this drama unfolds, Sylvia's health takes a sudden, frightening turn. She develops a severe fever, and the stakes for the young girl couldn't be higher. Meanwhile, Katherine is out in the city, navigating a series of chaotic mishaps. She deals with food poisoning and the loss of her handbag, and in a dark district, she encounters a man she believes is a highwayman. This stranger is, once again, Tad Phillips, who has been wandering the streets in a desperate search for his daughter. The climax of the story is a collision of these two worlds, the historical truth and the present reality. Neoda finally uncovers the truth of Sylvia's parentage, and the emotional weight of that revelation is immense. When Sylvia finally sees her father, the shock is more than just emotional, it is transformative. In a moment that feels almost miraculous, the sheer force of the reunion causes Sylvia to stand up from her wheelchair, her paralysis broken by the sudden, overwhelming connection to her father. The story ends on New Year's Eve at Carver House. The mystery is solved, the reputations are restored, and the group gathers to celebrate. It's a moment of profound resolution, where the shadows of the past are finally chased away by the light of the truth. When we look back at this story, there is a lot to unpack regarding how Frey uses these characters to explore the human condition. Think about Sylvia, her princess. Persona is a fascinating psychological tool. It isn't just a childhood whim, it's a defense mechanism. When your physical body fails you and your social standing is non-existent, you build a kingdom in your mind where you are powerful and cherished. It's a way to survive a reality that is too heavy to bear. The fact that her physical recovery is tied to her emotional reunion suggests that her paralysis was, in part, a manifestation of the isolation and trauma surrounding her family's history. Then there is the theme of suppression. The shuttered window is such a potent symbol. It represents how we try to deal with pain by simply blocking it out. Jasper didn't want to deal with the betrayal, so he literally covered it up with iron. But as the girls find out, you can't actually bury the truth, you can only hide it, and eventually it will demand to be seen. The secret passage and the hidden diary are the physical manifestations of those suppressed memories, waiting to be uncovered. There is also a recurring tension throughout the book between providence and mere coincidence. The characters, and perhaps the readers, are left to wonder, was this all part of a larger, divine plan to bring father and daughter back together? Or was it just a series of absurd, almost ridiculous accidents? Catherine's initial moment of amnesia, the accidental discovery of the diary, the mishaps in the city, even the lobster croquettes that lead to various complications, it all feels like a chaotic dance of chance. Yet, these accidents serve a purpose, weaving together the lives of people who were separated by a single, tragic misunderstanding. In the end, the book is about restoration. It's about the restoration of a man's name, the restoration of a girl's health, and the restoration of a family. It suggests that while the past can be a heavy, shuttered thing, it can also be healed if someone is brave enough to look through the cracks. The mystery isn't just about who did what in a tragedy decades ago, it's about the courage required to face the truth, no matter how much it might shake the foundations of the world you've built for yourself.